Chapter 1 Arjuna Vishada Yoga. The first chapter of the Bhagavat Gita describes the exact circumstances under which the divine poem was given out by the Lord. It occurs in the Bhishma Parva, the sixth chapter of the Mahabharata. On the 10th day of the war, Bhishma, who was the commander-in-chief of the Kaurava army, fell to the arrows of Arjuna. Sanjaya, a trusted and wise minister, returned from the battlefield to give first-hand information to Dhritarashtra, the blind king. The king was surprised to know that Bhishma had fallen and exclaimed in wonderment, "What happened on the battlefield when the two armies met face to face? Do tell me." In reply to his question, Sanjaya started his narration. We are told that he was blessed with divine vision and could see the war in detail from wherever he was. Sanjaya described how the leaders, Duryodhana on one side and Arjuna on the other, wished to have a bird's eye view of the enemy army to assess its strength. Arjuna, seated in a chariot drawn by 5 white horses, blew the conch along with others and asked Krishna to take the chariot to the forefront so that he could see all the enemy warriors. Accordingly, Krishna took the chariot to the forefront and stopped it in front of Drona and Bhishma. When Arjuna looked around, he found their fathers and grandfathers, gurus and uncles, brothers and brother-in-laws, friends, well-wishers, alone. On both sides were his own people, ready to fight each other and die. Overcome by emotion, he said in sorrow, "Krishna, everywhere around I see my own people. My limbs fail, my mouth is parched, and the hair on my body stand erect. My body burns and my mind whirls. I am unable even to stand. The omens are bad. What good can come from killing my own people? I desire neither victory nor the kingdom and its comforts. Of what avail is dominion? What avail the pleasures or even the life? Those for whom the kingdom, enjoyments or pleasures are sought, they are all here, having renounced their wealth and life even. Here are gathered all my relatives, friends, teachers and fathers, sons and grandfathers, uncles and fathers-in-law, grandsons and brothers-in-law, and all those who are related to us. I would not kill them even for the emperorship of the 3 worlds, let alone this kingdom. By killing the sons of Dhritarashtra, what joy can come to us? Only sin will follow. They don't see the harm that is done because of their greed, but we see it. Why should we acquire the sin of destroying the family? Why should we not try to prevent it? When families are destroyed, age-old customs are lost. When the righteous traditions are lost, impiety follows. With impiety, women lose their virtue and thereby follows confusion. Thus comes total destruction of society. What a great sin are we about to commit! And all this for the greedy object of getting a kingdom and its comforts. Even if the Kauravas kill me unresisting, it would be better." Thus Arjuna sat down, "O Dhritarashtra," on the chariot, plunged in despondency. Said Sanjaya. Thus concludes Arjuna Vishada Yoga, the first chapter of the Gita. We may assume that Vyasa was making use of a historical incident to serve a spiritual purpose. If we take the despondency of Arjuna only as a historical incident, then it will be very difficult to understand his position. In the first place, he was not a coward. Secondly, he had already fought battles with the very same Kauravas and faced single-handed Bhishma and Drona too, just a few months back in the kingdom of Uttara. If we take it that Vyasa molded the historical situation and put the words into Arjuna's mouth, then we can understand it as a guidance for the students of the Bhagavad Gita, because Krishna's instructions follows as a result of Arjuna's despondency. One thing is clear: when Arjuna entered the battlefield, he had neither doubt nor diffidence. He came to fight, blew the conch, and like Duryodhana, he too wanted to assess his strength and the enemy's by standing between the two armies. There was not a trace of weakness in him then. It came upon him suddenly when Krishna took the chariot forward and pointed out the enemy. We have seen in a previous chapter how Arjuna rejected Krishna's army and chose the Lord. He who chooses the Lord becomes the chosen of the Lord, who thereafter takes his devotee into his care and leads him to his goal. So the Lord led the chariot and stopped it in front of Bhishma and Drona, and not before the Kaurava princess. If the chariot had been stopped in front of the princess, Arjuna would have started the war immediately, having remembered all the injustices meted out to the Pandavas by the Kauravas. But it was stopped in front of the two people for whom Arjuna had the greatest respect and gratitude. His emotions were aroused. Take any clash or quarrel in one's life today. Evaluate the situation and analyze it. With whom does one quarrel or fight? Not with utter strangers, but with known persons, perhaps relatives even. Between brothers there are quarrels, as also between husband and wife, father and sons, students and teachers, students and students, neighbors, etc. Before the quarrel arises, or if there is no occasion for a quarrel, the relationships are ideal. So the horror of the strife is known only when one puts aside the cause of the strife and then thinks. In an angry mood, one can never put aside the cause of strife, but in a loving mood, one can. Thus, the Lord created the necessary mood in Arjuna for his assessment of the nature of the situation. When a situation is properly understood, then guidance from the higher will come to us. Arjuna refused a fight when he saw his near and dear ones arrayed before him. His confused talk and behavior could indicate at least 4 different situations. 1. Nervous breakdown due to fright. His symptoms were sweating, parched throat, etc. A student in the examination hall is familiar with it. A speaker standing on the dais is familiar with it. A candidate in front of the interview board is aware of it. A lawyer presenting his case in court is aware of it. Even after preparation, when one is about to jump into the arena, one is overcome by weakness. 2. Excessive attachment. Arjuna speaks of fathers, uncles, grandfathers, etc., all connected through one's sense of ego and an extension of it in the world. We are, each of us, time and again compelled to do things prompted by our attachment for others. It colors our vision and vitiates our thoughts. 3. A misplaced sense of responsibility that one should not disturb the traditions of a smoothly functioning society. Arjuna expresses his concern for the destruction of the social setup by the death of many in the war. That war has the most devastating effect on the morale of the people is the experience of our present day world. The Pandavas got involved in the war for vindication of their personal grievance. A fine, sensitive man is bound to reconsider whether he is right in doing so. 4. A real dispassion where there is no desire for any enjoyment. Arjuna declares that the supremacy over the 3 worlds would not tempt him to kill his people. Arjuna is clearly confused. The first chapter gives a true picture of the situation. The stage is set. Arjuna, like most of us in the world, perplexed at the variety of emotions assailing in his bosom, becomes a perfect receptacle for the Lord's grace, and thus follows the instruction in the Bhagavat Gita.